Do you think, you talked a little bit about, the importance of you saving and wanting to make sure you had the reserves in place. And you see so many people that have early success like you had in your 20s that kind of flame out or, it's too much too fast for them and they're not able to be mature enough to handle it. Do you think some of those experiences that you had early in life, being homeless, having, seeing people lose jobs that are close to you and seeing how, quickly things can be taken away from you, do you think that was a huge part of you?
A
Yeah.
100%. It's ingrained in me, and I had this conversation the other day. It's crazy, but people ask me, "Hey, do you want to do this?" And it might be like 250, 300. You know, to me, it's smaller money. You know,
Yeah.
maybe hey, let's go spend 1,000 here, and I'm like, I don't know if I want to do that. But then if you're like, "Hey, Ray, I got this piece of property. It's 100,000. You want to buy it? Yeah, I'm all in." you
Yeah.
know, and so it's ingrained in me to spend money on investments. I spend money on fun and I spend money on experiences
Yeah.
more than anything. If you ask for an experience and let's do something, I'm all game.
Right.
If you ask me to spend money on investment, I'm all game. But some of the mundane things that people spend, a lot of money on that are costly in the beginning and infancy stages, I tend to stay away from and shy away from. I could go buy a Lamborghini or a Ferrari. It's not what I need right now.
Right.
I'd rather go spend that on an investment.
Right.
Um, I could buy a second house. I don't need it right now. I'd rather go spend it on a second house that's an actual investment.
Hmm.
So that's how I am in my career. And right now, I've enjoyed the fruits of my labor, but I'm not in the party phase or the enjoyment phase right now. I'm
Yeah.
still growing. I'm in the growth phase.
Yeah. I'm completely the same way in terms of, it's hard for me to go buy like material things, but if I can find a deal on a property, it's like, I have no problem spending that money. My wife,
Yeah, yeah,
it can be tough on the family when they don't have quite, sometimes they're like, come on. But, long term, you got to think long term and eventually, you can buy whatever you want as long as you are disciplined for that first few, years or even decades. Because on the back
yeah.
end, that payoff.
And to everybody that listens, like my favorite word right now is delayed gratification. Favorite word is delayed gratification.
Yep.
Right? Do you need it now? What is it going to be worth in 5 years? Right?
Yep.
The car I drive right now, the car you guys might be driving and listening to, probably a good car. Could you get a new car? Sure, but what's the technology, right? Why are you buying this car? Is it to show off to somebody else, or just because you really need it,
Right.
right? So at this point, my life is more focused on delayed gratification. I have a very enjoyable life. Kids are happy, my wife's happy, everybody's happy. I can't complain.
For sure. So you mentioned, after you had those first few restaurants, or like basically started buying up the block, uh, was were most of those you were owning just the business, or did you start buying the building behind that, and then kind of talk about like maybe how you already had a business mindset, but real
Mhm.
estate could be a little bit of a different animal. So kind of
Yeah.
going through that, where how did you scale your real estate portfolio on the side?
Yeah, so the way I got into real estate, guys, is I was sitting in the bar around 7 or 8 guys. It was attorneys, other restaurant owners, business owners, some people in politics, and they were talking about, hey guys, we should all put 5 grand in each, go buy this property, fix and flip it or rehab it, burr out of it.
Hmm.
And I had no idea what they were talking about. I was a newbie, no idea. I'm just like, hey, these guys are smarter than me, they're probably making more money than me. Sure. And so I went home that night, and I remember I just started doing research and researching all the topics. This was before, podcasts, bigger pockets, or any mentorship groups were out there. YouTube, Instagram, it wasn't even a thing. And I said, you know what, I'll go in with you guys. And when it came time to execute, everybody backed out.
Oh, damn.
Nobody was willing to. But I had already done the research, and I'm like, you know what, I'll just go for it. Worst case scenario is I fail. And so I went on Craigslist. It was the shoddiest deal. Now I know it was a wholesaler, and this guy luckily didn't take advantage of me. But I bought this house for like 25,000. I spent another 25,000 into it, so I was 50 grand in on my first one. It was in the wrong neighborhood. I mean, this is like an F neighborhood,
Mm,
man. And but it cash flowed. I bought it and it cash flowed. It paid $1,000 a month. So nowadays that's the 2% rule. It paid $1,000 a month, and I was like, man, this. I remember I got that first check, and I was like, man, this feels good. And I did it again. Same similar numbers, 25,000. And to me, I had the cash on the side, guys, but I did a line of credit, right? I didn't even use my own money. I did a line of credit. but $25,000 and spent another $25,000 in renovation, and it cash flowed again for $1,000. And so the building I was renting my restaurant in was an 8-unit building, including my restaurant, 2 commercial spaces and 6 apartments. And I told myself, if I ever buy this building, I'll be free, right? Because at that point, that building cash flowed about $10,000 a month,
Wow.
right? That's 120 grand a year. So at that point, I knew like, hey, look, if I can buy this building, I could, I don't really have to work anymore. I can kind of retire.
Yeah.
And eventually I got that building. And that's kind of how the scaling started.